This is Energy of Business Moments with Michael Sipe, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their business success into your life and business. Energy of Business Moments is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Michael Sipe.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Energy of Business Moments podcast. I am your host, Michael Sipe, and today on the Strategic Advisor Board channel, I've got a great guest. He is Hark Herold. He is from Denver, Colorado, and he is an implementer with EOS. That's a company that is worldwide and helps other companies scale and grow their business. And so, Hark, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, you know, we come from the military in a way. We have a long background there in both, and you're from the Air Force and a Navy guy, but there's some similarities, and obviously leadership ends up being one of them. So you transitioned out of the military and work for industry, and then have your own business now. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you got there, and more importantly, the why behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, retired out of the Air Force after 28 years, decided I didn't want to go work for Lockheed or Raytheon or whoever, and wanted to work with small business owners. And so I started a consulting firm doing design thinking, human-centered design, facilitation and training, because that's what I did in my last assignment, which was at the Air Force Academy to help set up their Cyber Innovation Center, which looks at Air Force challenges in cyber with a human-centered approach. And so I became a fan of that, got involved with Denver's veteran entrepreneurial ecosystem and the Founders Network, ended up volunteering for an organization called Bunker Labs, which is a national nonprofit supporting military veteran, military spouse entrepreneurs. Ended up being asked to join the staff, had a few different positions, ended up as the president and chief operating officer for Bunker, working, running the organization along with the CEO. And then from there, we were an organization running on EOS, which is what I do now, and we'll talk about that. But I saw the power of that, and it's working directly with the small business owners again, and so decided to pursue EOS as a full-time position.
Cool. So tell us then a little bit about what you learned about EOS, and then what made you jump into doing it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So 28 years in the Air Force, had command of units both stateside and in deployed combat situations. And then working with veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs, it became apparent that the organizations that excel, whether it's a deployed combat unit or if it's a civilian organization, they have a great vision. They have people aligned on that vision who are operating as a team, and they have a framework in place to ensure execution with discipline and accountability. And I encountered EOS as a user of the system. We were running on EOS, and I saw that it was a framework to do just that. It's a way to get in a civilian company, everybody aligned on that vision, executing throughout the organization with discipline and accountability to achieve that vision, and a great framework for all of that. And I was like, this does this for organizations. And so I decided I wanted to get back to working directly with the entrepreneurs to help them get more of what they wanted out of their business by implementing EOS within their organization.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and obviously a motivator for being a part of it. So tell me, what are those components then of EOS?
Yeah, so with EOS as an implementer, I work with the leadership team to do three things that we call vision, traction, and healthy. Vision is about getting everybody aligned on that where you're going and how you're going to get there. Traction is about that execution with discipline and accountability. And healthy is about making that whole organization Well, we start with the leadership team, getting the leadership team being a healthy, more functioning, cohesive team. And then as goes the leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization. We do that by strengthening 6 key components of their business, because all organizations are dealing with 100 plus issues at any one time. But if we can strengthen 6 key components of their business, those 100 issues tend to go away because they're really symptoms of the root cause. And so those 6 key components are the vision component, which again is where you're going and how you're going to get there. The people component, figuring out the right people in the right seats for that organization, because the right people for one organization are not necessarily the right people for another organization. So we go through to define who the true right people and right seats are for their organization. Their data component, so that they're operating on facts and figures, not gut feels or hunches. And then when your vision, people, and data components become strong, the organization becomes more transparent and you're able to identify the issues. And so we teach them how to work with their issues to set them up, make them go away so they're not recurring. From there, we look at their processes and strengthen their process component, which is about doing the key things in their business, the core processes, the right way each and every time, ensures, repeatability, quality, profitability, and ultimately just makes the business easier to run. And then the 6th key component is traction. And this is about bringing it down to the ground. So bringing that vision down and executing on it, because vision without traction is hallucination. So we really work with the organization to ensure that they are executing on that vision throughout the entire organization.
Yeah, that framework that you've identified there, I think covers all the bases. So, anybody who's been in business for a while, you realize, those components, if you can get all of those aligned and working well, then you're going to be operating very well as a company.
Yeah, and in the EOS framework, we have 2 tools or disciplines that we use to help strengthen each of those 6 key components. And these are simple, proven tools that have been around for hundreds of years, are going to be around for hundreds of years. The tools are simple, but do not confuse simple with that it's easy. Simple is not easy. And we say the magic with EOS is not in the questions, it's in the answers. And getting the leadership team to get the right answers. So one of the things, like, I am not a consultant. A consultant comes in and they tell you what you need to do. That's why you hire a consultant. I'm a teacher, a coach, and a facilitator. I teach the tools. I coach the leadership team on using the tools and hold them accountable, because that's what a coach does. And then I facilitate, because I work with the entire leadership team, not just like the CEO or one person, because we have to get the team aligned on where we're going and how we're going to get there.
Yeah, that holistic approach, including the team and the people, I mean, that really is kind of the heart and soul of how you actually bring that vision into fruition. So great add on there. Thanks for clarifying that. So in the process of doing your work and the teaching piece, I'm sure you have some stories that you have just from doing the EOS piece, but even going back into the military, there are times where we have, I call those low energetic moments, where we have a thought and then there's an emotion attached to it of fear or concern or disappointment, just maybe even despair. And in a business, sometimes that can happen fairly frequently, especially for a startup or an entrepreneur. And so that's the nature, obviously, of the show here, is to talk about some of those low energy moments, and it leads to maybe some behavior or actions that are less than favorable. But the point being is, people that are successful end up coming out of those low moments and usually learning something. So for you, Hark, back on your career and then your experience with EOS, what would you say be maybe a low moment that you had personally that might be helpful for the people in our audience?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to the military to one of the deployments to Iraq. When a U.S. service member is killed in action, and we have to return the body gets returned back to the states, right? Typically, it goes ends up going through Dover, but we had what we called ramp ceremonies, and a ramp ceremony is where the C-130 lands. These are at night to reduce danger to the crews and everybody. The C-130 lands at night. I was Air Force. We had the soldiers with the Army on the base deployed there, and the soldiers would line up on one side, and the airmen would line up on the other side, and then the unit, the small unit of that person would then escort the body right in the casket into the back of the C-130. And so those are obviously emotional events when those happen. And so we do these ramp ceremonies at 4 a.m. or whatever time, and you just see it, and it happens again and again and again. And it's why are we here? Are we making a difference? This is a huge personal and emotional cost. Anyway, so that's kind of a low moment when that happens, because it just keeps repeating. And so what I did, right, was I had a good peer support network there. So I was a deployed squadron commander. My fellow deployed commanders and the group commander and his staff, we leaned on each other for support, and to keep each other's spirits up and make sure nobody was getting too low, and to just help each other out.
Yeah, great piece of advice for that repetitive low, if you will, where you just keep getting punched in the gut over and over again. It's one thing to have a one-time event, and sometimes those can be catastrophic, but usually if it's not a major thing, it's something that one can adjust to. And when you have something like that that's pervasive, it tends to be pretty challenging to get out of that, because the repetition, like you said, ends up being overwhelming. So it's interesting you bring up the peer piece, because I've also had some guests on the show before who've talked about the value of, hey, don't go it alone. Don't be the one shouldering all the burden. And the more you can surround yourself with those people, in this case, your peers who had that support function for you, how well did that serve you?
Oh, it was the thing that kept everybody going, and hopefully I was there for other people too, right? It is peer, and people hit their lows at different times, and things strike people differently at different times, and so it's really about that peer network, keeping an eye on each other, having those conversations, reaching out, being proactive, as opposed to waiting for something to trigger them. It's about caring for the others and doing that proactive reach out, or outreach that really makes a difference.
Yeah. There's a power actually in the giving side of it. We actually receive more when we give more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great point.
And we talk about that in how it relates to business, right? It is the peer networks. We say an entrepreneur, again, because I typically work with entrepreneurial companies. An entrepreneur needs three things. They need an operating system for their company, which we believe is EOS. They need a peer network, like EO or YPO or Vistage or something, and a coach. And if you get those three things operating together, the chances for that entrepreneur to succeed are significantly increased. And so, the peer network from when I was deployed, provided that in that circumstance.
Yeah, a great tie-in there. Great for making that connection. So on the flip side of the lows, we have our highs, and sometimes they may feel like few and far between. And in my work, I try to help people remember those high moments. They tend to remember the low moments more than they do the high moments. It's human tendency, but it actually is a very motivating, uplifting kind of thing to remember actually those high moments. And so I like to include that obviously in the show here. So Hark, maybe you could share with us a little bit about a high moment for you or for somebody that you helped.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to your point. I'm going to go with the recent one because it's easy to remember. So one of the companies I'm working with here in Denver, their CEO, was working 80 hours a week, and he called me in to help him to help his team. And he had the conversation with them, during our initial meeting when he decided to engage with me as an implementer, and was like, "Team, I need you to step up. I cannot continue to do this. This will simply not work." And they did, right? And so they have stepped up. They are working with each other in a much better way. We've established accountabilities. We've removed that burden, and in fact, it's been going so well for him that he just recently was given the opportunity to become CEO at a larger company, and was able to get his systems set up in the organization that he was previously with, that he's still going to be the CEO of that organization while taking on this new CEO responsibility. Because one of the things we talk with EOS is, I don't know what you want to get out of your business, but what I want to do is help you get what you want out of your business. And that's where, he saw these opportunities. He really just needed to extricate himself from the day-to-day, in the business to be able to work on the business. And so he was really excited. We just met, in fact, this last month. What is this, Friday? We met on Monday. And he shared that with me, that he was just so pumped that he was going to be able to go do that. And I get my joy from seeing other people succeed. So if I can help a team achieve its mission or its vision, that's what I want to do. In the Air Force, I had a lot of different specialties. I was in the cyber career field. I had a small unit there. I was a civil engineer squadron commander. I was in strategy at the Pentagon, and it was like it was less to me about what that units was doing than that I was able to help the team succeed in its mission. That's what gives me that high.
Yeah, that's a great story, and it goes back to the kind of the overall point of like, hey, people can be your greatest resource. And so if you can train people and inspire people and motivate people and then see them do well, that rush, or if that feedback of them doing well from something you helped implement is very tangible and gives that pat on the back without you getting maybe a pat on the back.
Right.
So yeah, great story. One of the other pieces too, I see with CEOs is that they do get into that problem a bit, and sometimes they need to, but there's a tendency as the company grows to be still doing that smaller stuff. And as you were talking about earlier about vision, that's that strategic aspect of being a CEO and doing less of the operational and less of the tactical or less of the admin piece. And I bet you've seen that a fair amount too.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is, and that's one of the cycles, to your point, that they get in, right? It's like, well, okay, I don't know how to get out of it, right? And so, that's, as an implementer, that's what I try to help them do, is figure that out, how to do it. Where do those responsibilities, where do those accountabilities go? How can you get, so we say, and we turn the business, we help them create a 90-day world for their business. What are their priorities for the next night? We go through a whole system, but we get down to the 90-day world, and we really focus on working in the business for 90 days, taking a step up, work on the business for a day. Look back at the last 90 days. Did you achieve your priorities? How's it going? What are the lessons learned? Review where we are on the vision, make sure the leadership team is aligned, and then set the priorities for the next 90 days, and then go work in the business again. And it really helps, that framework helps the person to identify opportunities, to think strategically.
Yeah, great framework there to do that and help them see that. Well, Hark, I've really enjoyed our conversation about the business side, but there's also kind of that mentor side. Like, if you could meet with anybody deceased or living, who would that be, and why would that be?
Yeah, so I think it'd be my father. So my dad died when I was 11, and so I didn't really know him that much, right? And so just to have that opportunity to meet with him now, to quote unquote catch up, right, on all the things that have happened, to get his perspective on things, that would just be something that'd be fantastic. I remember the day I got older than my father was when he died, down to the day. And, that's a thought process and an experience when you hit that day. Because at 11, Dad was just Dad, right? He was old because I was 11. And now I look back on how young he was, and all those things he didn't get to do. And so yeah, just, and what I came out of that with was, you'll live every day. I've had other, people around me, who've passed, and it's like, you gotta live every day. What is it? Every day is once in a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a really great story, and understand why you'd pick somebody like that. And it also is that lesson you tied into that lesson of like, hey, live every day and cherish every day. And you've got tangible experience of why you would cherish every day. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. Well, Hark, I've very much enjoyed our conversation today. If people want to get a hold of you, learn more about what you offer, how can they do so?
Yeah, so you can go to the website. It's eosworldwide.com/Hark, HARK -Herold, spelled HEROLD. People tend to misspell that last name, but it's HEROLD. Or you can email me at hark.herold@eosworldwide.com. Just reach out.
Awesome. Well, Hark, thanks again. And of course, this will be in the show notes of how they can get a hold of you. But I've greatly enjoyed having you on the podcast today. And thank you for your time.
I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks. You too. All right. How'd that we stopped.
Don't clean that part up.
Yeah, the mouse isn't working. I'm clicking on it, but it won't stop. Huh. Well, it's locked.
When you leave, it'll stop, right?
I probably. I hope so.
You can log back in and check.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, Hark, thanks again for being on the show. How are you doing on your business side? Are you got a steady amount of clients that you're comfortable with? Are you looking for more?
Yeah, I'm definitely in the building time right now. And everybody said it's planting a lot of seeds. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm doing. So one of the things I'm doing right with my background is trying to spend more time in the Springs, which is why I was down in the Springs a couple times because of the military, community down there.
Yeah.
plus the cyber tech, and the government contractors. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm definitely in building mode.
Yeah. Understandable. Okay. Well, good. Well, hopefully this will help a little bit and get some interest. And, obviously there's the passive organic side, and then there's the active
Yeah.
outreach kind as well. So hopefully this floats your boat a little bit and gets it going.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Hey, or can you send me a physical address? So I'll send you a copy of the book Traction.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I love that because having come from the government side and seeing, the 08 come in and hear about a new technology or new capability and go, wow, this is awesome. This is great. And then, it takes a couple of years to get the legislation through, to get the funds. And then by then everybody's kind of rotated out and they forget why the money comes in. And so when you talk about traction, I'm like, oh my God, that is why I left the government and the military, was because you could not get any traction. So yeah, I would love that book. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I will email that to you.
Perfect.
And I look forward to getting it. That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Oh, I should have mentioned it too. So anybody in the audience, I'll send a copy of the book Traction.
Okay.
All they have to do is reach out.
I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
And
it's
contact you for
free. Yep. Yeah. Do that. And it's also on the website. So, but yeah, that'd be great. No, I appreciate it. So what's your plans for the weekend? Anything?
Yeah, I have a small closet project putting up shelves. So I'm over engineering it as you can imagine. My wife's like, why do you need that heavy, steel piece? I'm like, well, this way it won't collapse.
As long as you don't bring the walls down. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
That's cool.
Cool, man. How about you? What are you doing this weekend?
I'm not sure. My wife gets back from Guatemala today, and I'm sure that there's a list. So she does cybersecurity policy and strategy at the international level. So she's done with she was working with the government in Ukraine until 16 months ago.
Oh wow!
On their cyber policy and strategy. So she goes to Moldova, Georgia, Guatemala, wherever, to help them develop and prioritize their strategy. So she gets back, and I'm sure there's a list.
Yes, there probably will be. All right. Well, good. We'll have some fun this weekend, and at least find a way to find some fun.
As I said, yeah. So I mentioned, my dad died. I've had 2 sisters pass. I had a niece that passed just over the holidays. Yes, I'm very much in the live today, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah. Understandable. Very understandable. All right, Hark, again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
And stay in touch, please. Love to hear how things are going for you.
See you. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to Energy of Business Moments with your host, Michael Sipe. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.